Okay. Favorite JP quote. Jordan Peterson quote.
I'd have to paraphrase it, but something along the lines of you want to be courageous, tell the truth. And then his whole thing about the truth burns and it burns out the dead wood in your life. So people are scared of telling the truth. So I love that.
Yeah. Bo just lied right now.
Yeah. I'm a terrible liar, which is good for you.
I know. I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I mean, I feel like I've gotten really good at it. I can tell you have like a certain like very, very slight smirk on your face.
Oh,
You're
I do?
so
I don't think it takes. I just hate. I'm a really honest person.
I know you have a slight smirk on your face and like your eyes smirk just a little bit. And he's lying. He's kidding around about this. Okay. Yeah, Bo just lied about something, and I was trying to tell him. I said, "Buddy, you lied because you think you have to."
Yeah.
I mean, that's why every single time I've ever lied, it's because I thought that I had to. And even just like I was thinking about lying about something on because like my friend wanted me to go somewhere and I was like, should I make up an excuse? And I was like, wait a second, what's the real reason? And then I thought about it and I'm like, that's a good reason.
Well,
and then I just told her. And then I was like, wow, I actually didn't have to lie. It was cool.
Yeah, well, it's done out of fear. So, I mean, that's again why he says, if you want to be courageous, tell the truth. Try just telling the truth. Because you lie because you're scared. I mean, my students lie or whatever it is because they're scared. They're scared of consequences. Because he's scared of being labeled some way or being punished or whatever it is. So that's why it's courageous.
Yeah.
That's why I like the quote.
Well, the consequences for lying, I think, are higher. Whether in this life or the next, I think they're higher. And sometimes short term.
Sometimes, but typically
it's long term.
dishonesty is a short term kind of like Band-Aid. It's just to get through the short term, but it brushes things under the rug, makes things worse for the long term. Seems to be that.
My favorite JP quote is, your instinct for meaning is the realest thing you have. And our therapist doesn't like that one. It doesn't resonate with me.
What do you mean instinct? Because I love meaning. Like I love, it's over there, Viktor Frankl's book. It's right on top. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, is really, really good. You know, Friedrich Nietzsche like has a lot of quotes about meaning, and the drive for finding your purpose and finding your meaning is really important. So what do you take from that? The instinct for meaning.
Well, I think it's the Holy Spirit. I think it's God. I think it's your instinct for goodness, I suppose, or something higher, something that's beyond your immediate satisfaction, your instant gratification. And I think everyone has an instinct for that. And I think if we all listen to it, it would be paradise. I don't know. Guys, welcome to Pretty Rich Podcast. Awesome. So today, I don't know if you figured this out, but I'm doing one of our first like filmed episodes of we're still trying to figure out the name. I'm still trying to figure out the name of this because let's face it, what I like in the end is what goes.
Yeah, this is your channel.
Okay, well, some of it might be on yours. But it's mostly mine. So we're doing Pretty Rich Podcast. We are doing an episode of what do you guys think? The Reusch rundown, hot takes with the Reusches. I don't like that one. Hot takes. I feel like that's so 80s.
Distracted. Look, I didn't use a coaster and now it's stained.
That's okay.
Like people say,
no, this is like not even real marble. Don't worry about it. He's talking.
Okay, what is it? The Reusch rundown?
Yeah. The Reusch rundown.
Sure.
I thought about the Bert and Ernie show. You want to explain that one? I think it's good.
Yeah, well, it's hard because you don't really look like Ernie now, but you do look like Ernie.
Look like Ernie, though.
You do look like Ernie, and I look like Bert. We really do. And your whole family, at least all the like ladies in your family, laugh like exactly like Ernie.
Like that.
Yeah, it's really funny.
I know, but you're Bert because you have a unibrow and you're vertical. Your face is like a rectangular vertical. And it's like unibrow. It's
he's
like,
a little curmudgeon-y.
And I am. That's right.
Yeah, I think that we are Bert and Ernie.
Okay, so it's either the Reusch rundown or the Bert and Ernie show. We haven't decided yet, so stick around. Okay, so today on Pretty Rich Podcast, we're going to chat all about Jordan Peterson. Very controversial figure, you know. He's got.
Should have gotten the bust and put it in.
That's true.
It's-
We do have a bust. There's things that we love about him and things, that don't align with us either. And so today's topic is something very near and dear to my soul. Why you should be a monster. I love this concept, actually. I even have a jacket that's dedicated to this concept. It literally says monster. And how you can use it in furthering your life and your beauty business and or any business for that matter, or achieving any goal. Who is this for, Will?
So I think it could be kind of across the board for a lot of different things. But I think it's for people who want to be capable, want to, find success in whatever definition they have, don't want to be victims to some degree, but it just applies to a lot of different dynamics. And I think it's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
I was actually just listening to him talking about it again today. He's talked about this a lot, but the idea of like romance novels, like I'm guessing the majority of your audience is female, right?
You're talking to me like we don't know each other.
Yeah. You told me to talk
Like I just
that.
came in your office.
You told me to talk like that. You're like, ask me questions the way that. Anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So,
Seems
romance novels, all kind of follow the same pattern. They all follow the same pattern. Which is this innocent girl who is kind of like under the radar, unseen, falls for this guy who is a monster. He's terrible, and she changes him. She transforms him. It's also, I think, why girls like the bad boy. It's not that they like being treated terribly. They want to reform the bad boy. They like the guy who is cheated on every girl, but then she can change him. Beauty and the Beast is the same thing. So it's really confusing for women, but essentially what they want to do is take this monster, this like bad guy, and change him and make him into a good guy because he has the characteristics to protect, because the only thing that can protect you from the outside violence and monsters or whatever it is someone who can do the same. So in Beauty and the Beast, Belle is attacked by these wolves, and the Beast saves her from those wolves. That's an important part.
So hot.
Yeah, but Gaston is also capable of stopping the wolves.
True,
but
he's not trained.
Yeah, he can't contain it. He's more of like a psychopath where he uses that monster energy or whatever it is to go out and hurt others. And you can use that monster energy to protect others too. Like the same kind of aggression that can be used to hurt people can also be used as firefighters to kick in a door and save a child who's in a burning building. So I think that concept of being a monster, especially for us raising boys and for you as a woman raising boys, is you want to raise someone who is capable of violence.
Defeating the monsters. There will be monsters. And I want to raise men that are capable of danger, because danger, is inevitably going to, unfortunately, like come into their lives. And I want to make them capable. So that is today's episode.
well, and Peterson has talked about this, but this is also an interesting thing in sociology too, of like the weak men or women. Let's just say men for the sake, but you can probably share how it would apply it in like girl world, maybe like Mean Girls stuff, but like weak men are not going to be able to become strong. Like you have to practice being strong. You can't just become strong. You have to.
You can't just think about it. It's not going to happen.
Mentally strong, physically strong, whatever it is. You have to work at that and then call upon it. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. That kind of concept. So we're trying to raise these boys who can, if they need to, tap into massive amounts of strength and fortitude and potentially even violence if it was needed to save people who are in a troubling situation.
Absolutely. That's what we're
doing.
How
does that apply in like in girl world? Like, do you think because it's not physical violence the same way?
It can be for some women. It can be. I think it's valuable to know how to defend yourself. But I think in girl world, I think it is more of a I think social awareness goes a long way with just anybody, but I think with women in general. And I think in girl world, I think it's about an emotional intelligence and a social intelligence and learning how to, for me, use your charisma to get what you want.
Could that be misconstrued as like because if
Manipulation.
well, yeah, manipulation or even like flirting, like
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, it
So
can be
those like
misconstrued as
yeah,
that.
right. Those like mixed messages of like using your feminine wiles, your whatever it is, cleavage
Right.
or sexuality to get what you
Didn't
want.
say it had to be cleavage. It didn't
No,
actually, I believe
I don't really
that
have the cleavage as much anymore.
I don't have the cleavage as much anymore because I did have an explant. You can turn to episode, I don't know, whatever the heck it is. It's like 200 episodes ago where I talk about that. I had a breast implant explant. But I actually don't think this has anything to do with the way you look. I do think it comes with more of an energy, more of a confidence. Um, I think what the superpower in women is their ability to nurture. And also, it's like it really doesn't matter what you look like. You can really flatter the out of
Oh,
anyone.
that's true.
And I'm
Yeah.
not encouraging you guys to use this in a malicious way, but it's just the truth.
Okay, well, that gets to what I guess what I'm asking is the same way it could be used in a manipulative, ugly way. It can also be used in a powerful, uplifting, positive way.
Absolutely.
So the same way
Yeah.
that physicality, physical abilities, violence, whatever it could be, can be used for positive. Because kicking in a door is a violent act, and you need to do that if there's a baby inside who can't breathe or whatever it might be.
That's true. And you can manipulate your way out of like saving somebody's life, maybe, if that's necessary. I don't know if you have to.
Well,
There are
I mean, just
an
having
extreme situation.
going through life with you as my life co-pilot. It's really interesting how many times that we'll go to a restaurant or we'll go to a place and they'll be like, oh no, we're booked, and you're like, I got this. And you're like, oh, we got a great table. It's like, how did you do that, or whatever it is, and that happens over and over
I
and over again.
really don't think it has a whole lot to do with how I look. Sometimes it does, but I really think that any woman is capable of doing so because I really think, especially as a mother of boys, men are just little boys.
Yeah.
They really are. And like,
Well, I've seen the way you do it. You're not like offering like hand jobs. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Like,
an
but
old
like,
fashioned.
but like it's not even sexual the way you do it. It's really not. It's actually very direct. It's very much just like talk. It's seeing them, recognizing their position that they're in, and like and telling your story about what your situation is. It's not sexual at all. I've seen the way you do it because I was like, how is she doing all this? Like, what is she doing? So staying on the dress like after this? Like, what's going on?
I
But
got it. I took care of it. We're good. We got the best table.
yeah. Um, but it's not. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's as like connected with sexuality as I think it would be. And I think the go-to for me to even think that would be the way it is, or what men do, shows the way that women are kind of viewed as like that's the way that you get what you want in society. And I don't think that's necessarily true. That makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah. Of
Yes. Thank you. Have I ever flirted in front of you?
course. Yeah, a lot. Well, you're a flirtatious person.
I'm a nice person. I'm a nice person. You know what?
Yeah,
The
define that, like not define
true.
nice, but define like what is flirting? Like
Exactly. I
versus
remember.
charming. Yeah.
So we're gonna take a detour here. One of the first dates that we had, it was really early in our relationship. I basically the servers at was it Tokyo Delves took my food away quite early, and I still had a good amount of food on there. And then I tried to get the plate back.
Okay.
And then I remember making an effort to appeal to the server to get me my food back. I don't know why I had to do that. I could have just actually complained. But I remember making like a flirtatious effort to do that. Granted, I was like 28 years old. I didn't really know what was going on with the world. And we, whatever. We weren't married yet, or we weren't like living together yet or anything like that. But I remember that night, you told me you weren't upset. You said it was just a turnoff.
Okay.
And I remember going like, you're not mad. I thought that was so hot.
Oh, yeah. No, I
I
don't.
thought that was it really put me in my place. You
Really?
weren't upset at all. And I've told that story to several women and men, and they resonate with the same response.
Yeah, I'm not possessive like that.
You're
I
not.
think what it is
It's like,
if
wh-
you I can't control you, babe. Like if you want to go out and you want to be with someone other than me, you probably should. I don't want you
right,
here against your will. I don't want you to be I want you to be where you want to be. And I hope that's with me and I hope that's with our family. But if it's not, I mean,
right,
it'd be heartbreaking, it'd be horrible,
right.
but it would also be like, well, this is what is this is real. This is
Correct.
actually where you should be.
And it's the same. It's the
So
same.
that's the way I
It's
guess
this,
I
and
felt
it's
about
the
it.
same with you.
But it's gonna make me, yeah, it's gonna be a turn off where I'm like, oh, she is into this guy. If that's, I don't even remember that honestly. But like she's into this guy. It's like, oh, well then it's not attractive to be with someone that's into someone else.
I was just
I
in
like
my
when people
20s
are into me. Yeah.
trying to get my food back, and I was using what I
I
had at the
understand.
time. I had breast up to my chin, and that's all I knew at the time. So, yes,
Yeah,
very different.
I
So,
understand.
with that said, with that said, we are going to detour, take a segue into one of my Pretty Rich Bosses clients. Her name is Donna, and we're going to put her testimonial up here. She reached her initial goal. She reached 14K monthly from 2.5 when she first entered Pretty Rich Bosses. She is doing $14,000 monthly consistently with 40 plus clients per month because of Pretty Rich Bosses. Here's her testimonial.
One thing that surprised me about the experience is the amount of things and accomplishments that I got done in 6 months. I went from having maybe 5 to 10 new clients a month and then nearly tripling that and then more than tripling my income. So that was definitely shocking to go back and look at like, wow, I was only bringing in this amount and now it's this. But to have hired someone being, I would never thought I would have had her. So that right there for me was a complete shock. Like, gaining the confidence to say, okay, it's time to bring on help and really building the business to getting to that point is what shocked me the most of, being here, having a double speed, having an employee. And it shocked me that I've come so far in so little time.
Speaks for itself. I think I mean, I am so proud of you, Donna. Honestly, I am so proud of you because I understand that we gave you the mentorship and we gave you the step by step of what to do, but you took the initiative to do it. And I am so proud of you. So, guys, if you want results like Donna, go to getpmuclients.com, go to getpmuclients.com. I'm not even saying you're going to absolutely get these results. No, you have to work at it and follow the protocol, follow the system in order to get results like these. But if you're a doer and you are committed to your goals, you absolutely can do it. So go to getpmuclients.com.
Your program works. It really does. But
no,
it
Donna's
works.
not the only one. It works.
No,
It's
there's a lot.
crazy.
I mean, like the testimonials.
And not everyone will
It's
give
a
a
lot.
testimonial too.
But that's
Let's just
here.
say
It works
really.
if you want to work. Like
Mhm.
you can't just become a successful person in business. Like there has to be effort. But I think what happens is a lot of people just go, I don't know what to do. Just tell me what to do. When people want to get in shape and they go to the gym, they look at all the equipment. It's intimidating. Like, I don't know what this machine does. I don't know what that movement is.
Yeah.
That's what a personal trainer does, is they show you what the machine is, but they can't lift it for you. And I think that's what your program does, is it's like, I'll show you what this machine does. I'll be there with you as you start doing it. But then I'm going to move on over here and you got to hustle. You got to get to the gym. You got to go a lot to get it to work, but it will work. And
how else did I do it?
Really works.
How did I do it? It's basically,
yeah, but the difference is you had to figure this out.
Right.
So you don't have like an MBA, but I've sat in on conversations with like students of mine, because I'm a high school teacher and I'm at like an elite private school now in LA. And these kids go and have like a marketing degree from USC. And then we meet with them and you run circles around them when it comes to marketing, because
it's very simple to me, actually.
But
now,
you figured it out.
Didn't used to be, but yes.
Where they are in a classroom, it's still theory. So you figured out, and you speak kind of like beauty business, kind of like ease, like that language of like girls like you
Dits.
who are out there. Yeah, a
Dits.
little bit. Like you can translate it into that, but it's this kind of the same business practices, but you figured that out on your own. It's like street smart versus book smart. You know, book smart is theoretical, like, and people say things that are theoretical. It's like that doesn't work in real life because they've never actually practiced it, but you have. Do people in your industry, how do they think about your program? Like, do they think that it's like a scam? Like, oh, you're just like, I don't know. How do they see that?
My industry, PMU, there's, I would say about, let's say 20 to 30 like real leaders where they like dictate the industry. I would say 20 to 30. And every profession has their own like industry. So we have our own little PMU, which stands for permanent makeup, the world. I'd say like, let's say out of the 20, I'd say maybe only about a quarter really know what PRB can do. And I would say a percentage of those 5 have been in the program themselves because now they're leaders. But
what do they think it is?
I think there's some people that have, they have the unread library effect. Maybe they just like heard some stuff or like they've seen like a post on Facebook or like they heard somebody's feedback or something like that. And I don't think they've actually ever taken the time to have a conversation with me, see what we do, or like listen to somebody who the program really helped. I really don't think they've taken the time to do that. And I don't blame them. I'm like, people are busy. But I think that the impression is that it's a scam. Oh, well, but while you're thinking it's a scam, these girls are out here winning, making 10K a month, 20K a month, 50K a month. And
how do they think you found your success before? I mean, you built a business.
I'm not a great
before
artist.
You ever did PRB.
I'm not a great artist.
Yeah, like it was always through
True.
marketing and there's a Jay-Z line, one Kanye West song, like he said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man, like, but what Jay-Z's, he's a really interesting person, business mind. Musically, yes, because he doesn't write things down or whatever, but like business wise, he's like, he wanted to be a successful businessman, and he saw music as one of the avenues. It's for the guys like from the Marcy projects, it's like music or athletics. It was basically like the only pathways he's ever saw. So he went into music as his way to become a businessman, and that's what he is. And I see that in you is you are far more of a business mind than you are even like a beauty business mind. Like you're a business of thinking person as opposed to like a makeup artist more.
Right.
But you also swim in those waters, so you can kind of be a translator. That's the way I think of like what I do, like as a teacher, is like we're translators to take this information, this material of a high school class, and then explain it to why a teenager should give a shit, essentially. And I think that's what you do, is you take these business ideas that you understand very well, and then you can translate it to the beauty industry that is largely forgotten in the capitalist landscape of America.
Totally. And
not
it's
taken
like
seriously.
The people, I know more beauty business millionaires than any other profession, more than our doctor friends, our lawyer friends. They're doing a lot better financially. And a lot of these like people that were traditionally educated, and I think there's a reason for that. Most beauty entrepreneurs are the first like person in their family that's ever like truly like made it, and they don't have like a formal college education, which I've always felt insecure about like not having. So that's my paradigm. I'm not saying that that's how it is in the actual world, but like my paradigm, I know a lot of people that make a 7-figure income doing eyebrows, lashes, makeup.
Those are the waters you swim in.
Those are the waters I swim in. Yeah. So that's why I know it's possible. That's why I'm so confident that it's possible for any blonde Asian bimbo like me.
Not blonde anymore.
That's true.
But I think
I still feel that way.
The principles, I think, as long as you can translate it, though, is you could turn, I mean, even when we met, it was right after you shut down your like a vocal
studio.
Vocal studio.
It's true. That was my first $1 million business.
You could have made that.
Oh,
you could have made that a multi-million-dollar business too. I think that's more of what I see your role in, is like you understand business principles and you can explain them to people it's like the kid in class that's always disrupting, bringing into my world a bit, is like you got to connect to that kid. And I think the people that are forgotten in society but still want that success, that are thirsty for success, that have been forgotten, beauty school dropout type of people, those girls that are just like not taken seriously, by the girls who are straight A students going off to like the Ivy Leagues, is you can give them a voice because they can stack that paper and then what?
I'm
you go off
so
to get a college
excited
degree.
for them. I know we do it every day in
Yeah.
PRB, and I'm so excited for it. And I think that's why, the girls that, work with me, for me, with me, whatever, like they're really, a lot of them are really ride or die because they see a lot of meaning and purpose in what we do. So, okay. Thank you. You're so nice to me. What do your friends, just real quick, when we first met and I was Sheila Ferrari, don't Google that, but I'm sure you will at this point. When I was Sheila Ferrari on MySpace, what do your friends, what do you think they think of me now? Like, I don't think they know what the heck is going on. I think they think that they still think that Bill married a porn star. Even though I am not a porn star, but they have this impression of me that I
Talking
am.
about like friends from high school, like
Your high school friends, which, like, to be honest with you, I'm really hung up on like almost like proving myself to, even though I know that that's like a losing game. But they are the people that knew me when we first met, when I was this like naive, like bimbo girl, and I still kind of am, I hadn't accomplished anything yet. And I think that's why I'm still kind of hung up on like proving myself, which, I don't spend a whole lot of time on it, but yeah, if you ask me, yeah, I kind of am.
I'm from like a blue collar, steel town in Pennsylvania. So you and the way that you were even back then, you were broke. I mean, you're living with your parents when I met you. Like
I was living with you.
Not when we met.
Yeah, but I was not paying, like, I was not contributing at all when we first met.
Right.
For like a couple years.
Right. But it's just you are just you're a lot. You're a lot. It's a lot the way you look, the way that you are. You don't have that social anxiety. Like there's no like social anxiety when it comes to like walking in a room and just like you'll take the spotlight.
Just because I didn't know it was embarrassing.
Maybe, but whatever it is, I think it's just a lot for people to kind of take inventory of. They don't really know what to do with it. So what do they think now? I don't know. I mean, they know that our financial situation is better than it would be on just like a teacher's salary. I think that when they talk to you, that they see they're like, oh, they're just thrown into a tailspin a little bit because the way you look and act doesn't align with your understanding and ability of like business principles and things like that.
Okay.
So it's
at a party though, I do come off as a little ditzy
until people talk about things that are in your wheelhouse that you make your money on.
Then I'm like, move the F on over. I got you.
I mean, there's a million things that I will sound silly about, but if you talk about like social science or whatever, like the stuff that I teach, and I sound like an expert, and you are in business, and that holds up pretty well for my friends that went off into like, the business world of like, you can't argue with your understanding of how to market and the way that, very basic economic and business principles work. I mean, I teach economics. You don't know a lot of the things that I'm explaining. And then when I explain it to you in a simple way, you're like, oh, of course, it's this. Like so you understand it. You just don't understand the way the textbook lays it out. No. So I don't know what they think. I don't talk to a bunch of high school friends that you're probably like referring to.
No, I think some of them think I'm all right, but I still feel like a joke. I still feel like a joke in a lot of ways. I don't know if that'll ever go away. And I don't know if I want it to go away.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's kind of your personality, dude. I don't think it's like a bad thing. Yeah, you're a little bit of like you're a weird mix. You're a weird hodgepodge. It's hard to fit you in a specific box.
Okay, so on to our topic. The topic of this podcast is be a monster, right? Okay, so let's talk about Jordan Peterson for a second, who's a really controversial figure. I didn't realize how many people loved him that follow me.
Okay.
And also some people that came up to me personally that were, you know, a little confused. The fact that we went to his show, that this is a second meeting that we've had with him, that we spent the money on like second row tickets, and we were so excited to meet him when we were such big fans. So before we get into that, let's talk about when we first started listening to Jordan Peterson. So we started listening to Jordan Peterson in 2016. I was pregnant.
2017.
No, 2016. 2017 is when Gray was born. He was born in February. We had been listening to Peterson for months by that time. So maybe like fall 2016. Okay. So and I was pregnant with Gray, and I remember he was on I don't know, he was on
Probably Joe Rogan.
He was on Joe Rogan. It was like a 3-hour podcast, and it was just mind-blowing. This 3 hours, it was mind-blowing the way he could articulate the truths that I felt like we already knew, right? What was your first impression of him when you first heard those amazing 3 hours?
Yeah, I think it was he was laying out, his first book is like, I didn't read the whole thing. It was really long. Maps of Meaning. It's just basically laying out the way that human beings kind of interact and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was like telling you things that you were like, oh, that is the way that this works. And I'm a social science teacher, so it really aligned with a lot of things, a lot of dots I was trying to connect my classes. At that point, 2017, I've been teaching for 10 years. So
why did you gravitate towards him so much?
Because it sparks thought. Like, it makes me a curious person. So I'm a curious person. And then I just like, once you open up this thing about, and I also constantly, when people, found out that I would go and like, we've seen him live like 3 or 4 times. And they were like, are you holding him, are you looking with a critical eye? It's like, more than you.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I kept trying to be like, all right, he's wrong on this one. He's wrong on that one.
No,
like, oh,
Will, are you kidding
I can critique him. I can critique Jordan Peterson. I don't like the way that he, feel like he has a lot of anger. He gets attacked a lot, but I feel like he has a lot of anger. I don't like the way he went after the Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. I don't like the way that a couple of things for sure, but he generates thought. He
does generate thought, and he does have a lot of amazing points.
Yeah. So for a curious person, yes, like for a curious person, that's why I resonate with him. Just got me thinking.
Right.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. You're a permanent makeup trainer, right? Well, you got to check out my new course, Sold Out Trainings, that's going to help you book out your trainings for months. Click the link below to find out more.
For me, I was just blown away. Like the way he was able to articulate like truths of like universal truths was unlike anyone else I've ever heard. And you can't argue with them because they're the things that you already know to be true. Why do you think he's so misunderstood?
It's a couple of things. One is, when you take complex ideas, you have to address complex ideas in a long, nuanced way, because by definition, that's the only way to understand them. So to do that, you have to explain them in a long way. And if you take a piece of that and take it out of context, it sounds bad. The best gift I ever got from a student ever was one of my students, senior. He all year long, he wrote down things that I said in class out of context.
I love this.
It's really crazy.
Yeah, your student wrote down everything Mr. Reusch, out of context, like a whole like Word document, Mr. Reusch.
And I've actually never shared it because some of it's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah. But
it's out of context.
It's out of context. And in context, I can explain every one. It's like, it's really understandable. Should I share one? And they can always edit it out, but like one of them.
I mean, I speak truth, right? Because that's the courageous thing to do.
Yeah. Well, one of them is out of context is my experience with naked boys has been extremely positive.
And in context, you were talking about our children.
Right. Well,
and you went to Poland.
I went to Poland. There we were watching a movie called Escape from Sobibor, which is horrific, about the Holocaust. And there's a scene where a little boy runs from the line from the gas chamber, gets run down by a German Shepherd. It's horrific. And I was crying, and it really affected me. And
I couldn't watch that.
Yeah, I'm not crying, just like thinking about it. So I'm not trying to think about it. But the little boy running naked, I have so many beautiful memories of our boys running from the shower, from the bathtub to their rooms naked. They run in here, they do dances naked. It's these moments, because at one point they're going to say, "Dad, get out of my room, I'm naked." And that innocence
It's the loss of innocence.
is I have such a beautiful memory of my kids' innocence, and that scene really affected me. So out of context, it sounds like I don't know, homosexual pedophile, like Michael Jackson or something like that can't moonwalk. Yeah. But instead, in context, it's like it makes sense, and there's just a lot of stuff like that. So I think getting back to the question you asked is, I think that Jordan Peterson, I think, is taken out of context, and I think that it is also. I'm a curious person. I like having my bad ideas exposed. It's harder with you. I resisted at first, maybe for a while, but eventually I kind of come around because I am very interested in truth. I'm very interested in what is real.
So much harder for me.
Yeah.
So much harder for me.
But I think that he does that anyway. I think he does that, and people get really angry, and they, instead of looking into the mirror or looking at themselves or looking into the issue more,
right?
It's easier to be angry outward than it is to focus on where you might be wrong. For
sure. They read a lot of headlines. I think, they hear things from their friends. And also, there are a lot of negative articles about him. I just read one this afternoon. There's a lot of negatives, but I mean, here, if you listen to an hour of JP and not get any redeeming qualities at all,
then you have a closed mind. Then I mean, you can I think that you can go into it and just look for all the negatives everywhere, every turn that happens. You can do that. But I think that if you're going into, I'm just a naturally curious person. So for me, someone like him who has spent his whole life just reading nonstop and becoming a super expert on human psychology, before he was ever famous, he was one of the most cited psychology professors in the world.
Wow.
Like he's not just like he's not just like a Tony Robbins, like for like people who write their dissertations and stuff like that. Like he is one of the most, I think he was the most cited psychologist outside of maybe like Freud or something like that.
He's really good. Yeah. He's really, really good.
Yeah. So I think it's really hard. Just like therapy. Therapy, when people say like, oh, my husband's being really terrible, so I'm gonna get him in therapy so he gets fixed. It's like, no, it's gonna get worse first.
Correct.
And that's so Jordan Peterson does that. And it's like, it causes turbulence first.
It does get worse first.
People don't want to go through that turbulence. So I think that's just like, I don't want to look in that direction because it might stir up some things. I think that's a big reason why as well. I can be critical of him, and I think he's wrong on certain things, right? For sure.
Approach wise, I don't think it's super Christ-like, the way he talks about certain things. I was listening to him on Diary of a CEO today. He walks around like a guy that's like dying almost, very aware of his mortality. And when this Diary of a CEO asked him how he was doing, JP said, brilliantly and terribly. And he had tears in his eyes. And it was like the first question.
That was right.
Question of the interview.
Right. But that was after he had a really tough, 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you make with him, he is really thought-provoking because he is really vulnerable, and he is really raw, and he does speak the truth. Whatever you make of him, I do think that he is somebody that will stir you to look inward at like the darkest parts of yourself.
Yeah, he's not my guide.
He's not a guide. That's
People
true.
Say like, oh, you idolize him. You want to I don't want to.
No, I do not.
No, I do not want to. I would never want to be in his shoes. I don't care how much money he has. I don't care how much fame he has.
Agreed.
He's a tortured person because he's so smart.
Happy.
No,
he's like, no, he doesn't seem happy.
So I don't use him for that, but I do use him as a guide to try and understand the world better.
Right.
I think it helps get you to some sort of understanding of truth.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. So what is the biggest personal transformation that he's helped you achieve?
What's the biggest? I don't know.
What do you think?
I'll be rubber, you be glue, and then I'll think about it.
I don't understand that analogy.
Rubber and glue, you bounce off me.
Okay.
When someone says like you're an asshole or something, they're like, I'm rubber, you're glue. You never got that in like the playground?
No, if I did, I didn't understand it. I'm ESL.
You can't use that as an example. As like
that's the truth though. It's not an excuse. The playground transformation he's helped you achieve.
I don't know. I think just maybe.
You're Christian now, and you're more curious now.
That's okay.
Like we're talking about the biggest. The question is the biggest transformation he's helped you achieve.
Okay, so you have to like pull it back a couple of layers. So so it got me to understand, complexities and look for truth. And then he did like stuff. He broke down the Bible in a way that was through a psychological lens, because he's an expert on psychology. He's not an expert on like body image issues. He's actually terrible at that.
Yeah.
But he's an expert on psychology. So when he broke it down from a psychological level, he explained religious ideas of like Judeo-Christian understanding in a way that makes like logical social science sense. And I'd never heard it that way before. So yeah, that would be the biggest thing. Cause then that put me on this like trajectory into diving into better understanding religious ideas and religious faith. I was basically an atheist when we met. And then that just made me more and more curious. And it kept getting me to the point where what seems very inevitable to me now, which is the understanding that there's a certain kind of operating system that you need to live your life by. And social science is supporting that. And Christianity seems like a good one. It's a great one.
Seems like a good one.
I would argue that it's the best one, but it's not the best for everybody. The same way that a vegan diet works for some people and it doesn't work for others. I know that the diet that I am on when it comes to like my like spirituality works for me. My life has gotten inexplicably.
I'm not helping you here. I can't. I'm not equipped. Inexplicably.
Yeah.
There you go.
My life has gotten,
I did help you.
My life has gotten much better the deeper that I fell into having faith. Yeah. And it's a very strange place for me to be compared to where I was like a decade ago as a very like logical social science person. And I think I am still a logical social science person, but now I have this faith element. It's very strange. So yeah, thank you for helping me with that. See, that's why we have a partnership. That's absolutely the biggest transformation.
I didn't even lead you to Jordan Peterson.
You just like gave me a little like pat.
You led me to Jordan Peterson. Right. And I don't know what it was where you like, because I tell a lot of my friends this, because I do have like, so a lot of women that might listen to this podcast have unbelieving husbands, you know, they're unequally yoked, and they know that, hey, you know, even people who aren't Christian, even like wives that aren't Christian that just wish their husbands would adopt some sort of like religious practice. And these wives themselves aren't even that religious, but you as a wife, you have this instinct that religion is probably good. Religion is probably good. And I tell them, I was like, well, listen, you know, like listen to Jordan Peterson, because my husband has a very like logical brain. And for some reason or another, this was a gateway to exploring a religion.
Let me flush
like
that out
a religious life. Yeah. Can you please?
Yeah. Cause I agree with you. I think that not just religions, you're going to have a religion. That's a Jordan Peterson thing, that the most important thing in your life is your religion.
Correct.
So
you already have one, whether you
have a hierarchy of importance. every decision you make is I teach economics and opportunity cost.
Hierarchy.
So what is the most important thing in your life? You have, that is your religion. So
good.
People say like, I don't like organized religion. It's like, would you prefer disorganized religion? Because you're going to have one. It could be something about, helping the environment. It could be something about your kids or whatever it is. You're going to have one. So you're going to belong to some sort of cult. You're going to have to belong to some sort of religion.
Yeah.
Choose wisely. Pick which one are you going to choose?
Right.
And then you can make your choice. But I think that that's more of what it is you have a belief system.
Right.
You just got to figure out what that is.
Right. I think the biggest transformation like that I've experienced from JP was I didn't even want to transform in this way, was when you had your stroke. When you had your stroke.
A lot.
He did. I mean, it was 2018 and I was just like maybe like a year into really ingesting his content. And I don't know, his words were like fresh in my mind of, in a time of crisis. I thought you were dying. And his words were fresh in my mind, like in times of extreme crisis and chaos, the best thing you can do is to take on as much responsibility as you possibly can. And for some reason that saved me. It was really, really hard. And I figured out by the grace of God how to stay somewhat calm, cool, collected, and just to bear as much responsibility as I could. And it gave me an aim. And I'm not even saying that, I was perfect or anything like that, but just having that aim alone, because that concept came from him, having that aim alone of bearing as much responsibility as I possibly could, gave me direction. It was oddly strengthening, which is the oxymoron of it all. It's like when somebody's in a crisis like that, like if you think your husband's dying and you're gonna be like a single mom and you're gonna lose like the absolute love of your life forever and ever, like, right, until heaven comes, then like the default, I think, instinct is to hide under a pile of coats and hope it goes away, or just to be limp, to be limp, to be on the floor, to be absolutely
No, you
useless.
stepped up.
But I tried to be as useful as I possibly could. And I tried my best to communicate my needs to anybody that was willing to help. And I tried to be upfront about it. I'm like, hey, I actually don't got this. This is what I need. This is what I need. But it's okay. If you can't deliver, it's okay. I got it. God's got this in me.
All right, let's take this full circle. That's back to the monster thing. Because it's like you prepared for that by doing hard stuff, building your business and things like that.
On the way there, yeah.
Yeah, but you were by my bedside arguing with the doctors because they were getting things wrong, and doing payroll and making sure that the kids were taken care of. Like had to handle all this. You had to. So you couldn't die. You couldn't just fold because the ripple effects would be so big.
I couldn't die.
But again, it's because you practiced that. You wouldn't have been able to just do that. It's you at that point in 2018, you had already built a good business. I mean, your business was really flourishing in like 2015 and stuff like that.
For sure.
So you were able to handle this because you practiced it. You know, I use this analogy for my students. It's like every morning you can get up and go swimming in a cold pool, but you don't because it's uncomfortable. But then one day you go to the beach, there's no lifeguard there, your best friend's drowning in the ocean. You can't just become Michael Phelps and go in and save them. You can't. Like, you haven't practiced. You skipped pool day every day. And because you did that grind, you became a monster, so to speak. So when it was time to like handle stuff with me being sick, I mean, I was in bad shape for a little bit in the ICU, and are the kids okay? Are people still going to get their paychecks? Like all of this kind of stuff. You watched people fold around you. And we also had tremendous support from friends and stuff like that.
Sure.
Who were
My
there,
mom,
of course.
huge.
But a lot of people folded, and a lot of people would fold because they can't just all of a sudden lift up the refrigerator that fell on grandma. Because if you haven't been doing your squats, you actually can't. So I think that taking this full circle that's what being a monster is. That's why we're trying to raise monsters, is like, how are you going to be able to handle something horrific? Because suffering is inevitable. I'm sorry. It's a downer for a podcast, but it's true. Like, hardship is going to happen.
That's true.
How are you going to possibly get ready for that?
Your worst day will come. And that's why you and I love that shirt. Training
for your
behind the Sheila podcast. Right.
Yeah. Shout out to James.
Your worst day will come. And it's about like prepping for it. And it's not even about like, having this thing loom over you, or you like meditating upon like your worst day. It's not that. It's just about training for it, because it makes like a regular day even better.
You got to grind. And that's why your beauty business entrepreneurs, the girls that go through your program and kill it in your program, not the ones who don't do it, the ones who kill it, they're just going to be more equipped for life. Because it's not easy. Even when you say basically you have to do this, and this is your program. Like, you have to do this, then this, and this, and you walk through it, blah, blah, do it this way, and blah, blah. And then they have to do it. And just following that, like that level of discipline, that level of just like kind of the monotony of it, just do blah, 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 blah. It'll prepare them for whatever hardships come their way. They'll be better prepared than if they didn't. And I think that's what that really showed.
Yeah. Love it. So advice for anybody who wants to get stronger, if this podcast, resonated with you, if it made you think a little bit about, what can you do to prepare, to train for your worst day? And they don't know where they should start. Where do you think they should start?
I think it's, like a marathon starts with the first step, right? So it's like little thing. It's little.
Yeah, what is
little
that
parts
for us? What is that for us? Well, we do, dude. I was just thinking about our day yesterday. Is it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. It was like noon, and I was like, I am done doing hard things.
Oh, because we had a cold ice bath. It was down to it was like 39 degrees.
It was like ice bathed for 2.5 minutes, and then after that, I had a horrible hard workout. I had 4 minutes. listen,
Yeah,
you did do it for 4 minutes. That was really hard.
Yeah, but then we went to the gym.
Then we went to
got
the
after it,
gym and we got after it, and
Dropped the
it
kids
was a
off, did the whole
really
thing.
hard workout. And then by the end of yesterday, you were like, "Hey Sheila, you want to do this like gauntlet at Sky Zone?" And I'm like, "No." I've just been doing hard things all day. You understand? I just like
Goggins' book is right there.
Right. Goggins' book is right there. So it's called Never Finish is the second one. I haven't read it yet, but you have. We'll do another Goggins podcast after I read that. And it's just something about like doing hard things every day, whether it's like a 2-minute or a 4-minute like ice bath, or just like working out at the gym, or like getting up like 10 minutes earlier than you would. I think there's such a value in just doing hard things, because if you do hard things, your life will be easy. If you avoid hard things and only do easy things, your life will be hard. And that's why that's our Reusch family motto. I can do hard things, because truly we want our kids to have an easy life. I do want my kids to have an easy life. And that is why our family motto is I can do hard things.
And Jocko, Navy SEAL, West Coast commander, he talks about discipline, not motivation, because motivation is so fleeting. Motivation works until it's really hard.
Yeah.
But the discipline of just the daily grind. So you asked like for how do you do that? I think that you have to start small. One of the things I tell my students, like an advisory or something, they want to build it. I say like, what's your favorite candy bar? Whatever it is. So it's like, whatever, Twix. I was like, get a Twix and put it, and this is not for like people to lose weight. It has nothing to do with that. It's like, but just put the Twix in your bedroom, just on the shelf, and just don't touch it. Don't touch it. And just stare at it, like that kind of thing. Just so you like
Whoppers.
have that, huh?
Whoppers.
Yeah, whatever it is, like, just like those little things. And then it's, you start with just getting up in the morning, then you get up and you go outside, then you get up and you go outside. It's like gradual exposure. Go outside and walk. Then you get up and go outside and you walk and you jog. Then you incrementally get better. I think that what happens is people look at you now. I've known you for a while. And even though I've only known you for 12 years, I feel like I've watched your transformation more than people who've known you for like even like longer almost.
True.
Because
True.
It's almost like
who I am anymore. Yeah.
But it's a gradual process. You see the person on the podium, at the top with the gold medal. You don't see the daily in and out of like that grind, the blood, sweat, and tears, that kind of stuff. Like I've seen you at your worst building what you've built. Just like, when you've been, just like crying and up late and, nursing on your laptop and crazy, customers and clients and employees and like that grind. It's just, there's no shortcut to that kind of thing. So you have to force yourself into it and get as much of that as you can. Even like little hardships, taking the stairs instead of the escalator. I use physical stuff just because it's so quantifiable. But it doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental. It can be just as easily mental things, just things that are mentally hard to do. I wanted you to do that jump yesterday. That wasn't a physical thing. It was a mental thing.
I know.
Like overcoming. Like
I did do it.
You did, ish. But it's overcoming those like even mental hurdles. The hard thing, cracking open a book and reading silently or whatever it is you have to force yourself to do it very small, and then a little bit more and a little bit more, and you just. That element, and then your life actually becomes easier because you don't become. Well, that's in a Jordan Peterson thing. Wrap it up. Like Jordan Peterson says, you don't make people safer, you make them braver. So you want to become. I love that. You want to become
that's a
tougher.
JP.
Yeah, you want to become tougher. You don't want to make the world easier. You want to become tougher because that's the reality that it's going to be.
Anybody safer, you make them braver.
Yeah,
good one. Do you have any questions for me, honey?
Yes, I do. Hey, babe, what advice would you have for people who want to get stronger?
For people who want to get stronger, you guys have heard me say this before, and it's just like just understanding that you can't beat fear, do it scared. And I love that. JP said that. You can't make people safer, you just make them braver.
Paraphrasing it.
You know what? Whatever. It works. And I feel like that's in the same vein.
Also,
that should be the same like it should be in the same like category of you can't beat fear, do it scared. You can't make people safer, you just do it braver. It's the same category. It's just like
it's a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So yeah, when JP says that, I'm like, wow, I really resonate with that. And that is the logic behind the advice. You can't beat fear, do it scared.
Babe, your stuff your stuff lines up in like the nerdy realm. I'm like economics and social science and stuff. Your stuff is very aligned. That's why it works. It works because it's aligned with business principles. It works because it's aligned with psychology.
Mhm.
You might not know that, but you know it intuitively. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, when Jordan Peterson talks, it's like, hey, this is what I talk about. And
Yeah,
this
don't
is
let
what
fear
I
win.
know. This is what I know to be true. And then there were a lot of people that criticized like our post about, going there and like, promoting him and stuff. But I really believe that if they just, take a minute to listen to any interview, like the full thing, I
You want to not get criticized? That means you're not doing anything.
right. Right. And I was like, well,
Best way to not be criticized.
this
Say
man like
nothing, do
led my
nothing.
husband to the Lord. And so what am I gonna do? Like, yeah, this might help lead other husbands or people to the Lord. Why not? And so, and for that, I am not ashamed. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Pretty Rich Podcast. I hope you guys had as much as fun listening to it as we had recording it. Did you have fun, Will?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. How much fun did you have?
Oh, fun. 6. 5. It's not like you're riding a wave runner, but it's cool.
How much fun do you have doing your podcast?
7. Well, I'm talking to someone, so I'm learning. So it's like a 7 or an 8. Depends on the person. Sometimes it's a 9 or 10. 9.
Guys, check out his podcast, Cylinder Radio. If you got anything from this podcast, please share it with a friend. And don't forget to rate it and give it a 5-star review on iTunes. And just like share it with people. Like help us connect with more weirdo couples. So if there's any like weirdo couples out there that you're like, oh, this is kind of like you guys, I know you're thinking of them. So help us connect to them, share this podcast with them, this episode with them, and also help us to decide, what do you guys want this to be? Should it be the Reusch Rundown or the Bert and Ernie Show? And we'll see you next time on Pretty Rich Podcasts. Bye.